Now let's create a floor tool that's got a little bit more intelligence. Let's create one that will draw a darkened wall around it. Now, depending on how you like your old school maps looking, you can either select to have the walls a slightly darker blue than the background, or you can have them exactly the same blue as the background. I prefer them slightly darker. I know it's a little bit more modern, but you know, I'm a very progressive sort of guy. So, what we'll do is we will come back to this. We've already got the default floor in memory. That was the last one used, so we'll just go straight to Advanced and New. And I'm going to call this one Floor with Wall. Okay, so we've inherited all the properties of the previous floor. So it's going to be white, it's going to be a background, it's going to be on the floors sheet. So that's all correct. But what we're going to do now is define an outline for it. So by default it's no outline. I'm going to actually add the walls as an extra entity, and I'm going to place them separately as an entity onto the walls layer. So it'd be just like we had traced around it with a wall. You can do it all in one hit. So we're going to go properties for that extra entity. We're going to change the color to be 66, which is slightly darker than the 68 that we started with. I'm going to make it a fixed wall width of 1 foot. It's pretty thick, but we want that sort of heightened feel for this. The layer that we want is going to be walls. By default it's set for walls, and the sheet is walls, so that's all preset for us, absolutely perfect. The fill style to use, though, has got to be, again, solid. So we'll find solid, solid, solid. There it is, solid. And that's actually it. So I'm going to click on OK. You can now see there's our sample. Now, if I go, I'm going to click on OK. It's going to ask me if I want to save those settings. I sure do. Now let's actually see the difference here in our catalogue. Again, right-click that, you'll see all the options. I'm going to draw a floor with a wall. Bum-ba-da-bum. Lots of fun here. Okay, I know that this is not the best dungeon in the world, but I'm just using it to give you an idea. Oh gosh, my spacing is dreadful tonight. Now what you can see has happened is we've actually drawn a dungeon which has got a nice outlined wall on it. Fantastic. So the walls of this dungeon are now completely automated. And in fact, you can actually see that they're being put on a different layer. So for example, if I click on the layer here and I say hide the walls, you can actually see the walls will disappear. So yes, those were actually on a separate layer, just as if I had drawn them by hand. Very, very useful way of creating your old school dungeons, just by being able to have those walls put down at the same time you're drawing the floors. Now, this would be great if all of our dungeons were nice, sort of big blocks like this. Obviously, we also want to have some dungeons which have got some lovely cave sort of looks to them. Now, you can get a nice effect with that by, again, we're going to click over here on our... We'll load the default floor into memory. We'll click on Advanced again. I'm going to add a new one, and I'm going to call this Cave. So again, we're using the basic floor, no walls. We've got that in memory. No walls on this one. But we're going to change the draw method to being a fractal. And you could even change the options here to make the fractal a bit stronger or a bit weaker and so forth, but we'll leave them as the defaults for the moment. And that's it. That's all you need to do to create a cave. I'm going to go Save Settings, yes. So let's see what happens when we draw a fractal. You can see that it's now a more jagged shape. Awesome. If you would like to make that a little bit more jagged, we can, again, click over here. We can select our cave. Oops, one thing to do. Advanced. Make sure you've got that selected, and we'll go fractal options, and I'm going to increase that slightly, and I'm going to make the depth a little bit bigger. So we'll make that 10%, 8. We'll see if that makes a difference. So you can actually see quite clearly now that this wall is even more fractured than before, and the best way of looking at that is actually get it nice and close. So you've now got a tool where you can draw your floors extremely quickly, and you know, if you wanted to join that onto there, we could start that point there. Make sure it comes in, overlaps a little bit there. voila, it's starting to look like we've got a nice set of tools. Likewise, you could then take that and place a wall on it. So let's now move back over here. We've got our cave in memory, so I'm now going to click on Advanced. I'm going to add the outline, get the hang of this, make it an extra property, an extra entity, change the color to 66. We'll make the width 1, check that it's on walls, check that it's on walls, check that it is in fact a solid. Yeah, solid. Click on OK, click on OK. Save the settings, yes. Oops, you know what? I foolishly changed the cave entrance, not a copy of the cave entrance. So let me just undo that. So I'll go to Advanced. I should have gone, this is what I should have done, I should have gone U first. With walls. Foolish me. I better go back to this cave entrance now and edit it so that it has no outline. Save everything. Okay. Now if we go back here, you'll actually see, when everything's right, that we've got a cave with walls.